Hello and welcome back to the Hype Bulletin, hosted by yours truly, Ralph Mentor and all. Now, since the NBA season is over, depressing, but looks like I'll dive in today on today's episode or today's recording into the winners and losers of free agency and the NBA draft. Honestly, the NBA free agency and the NBA draft, and talk about the winners and losers. I have a pretty long winners list because I tend to be a little bit positive, but I do have some losers, and there's one team I bet. Based on their signings this offseason, it'll be a bit of a surprise why they'll be in the loser bracket for me, at least and all. But to start off with the winners, first off, the Boston Celtics are the all-time ultimate winners of being the NBA champions. But for a team going to go into the 2024-25 season, the fact that they're going to have at least their top 10 that played the most minutes back, I think it's 11, but it could be just the top 10, because of Brissett hasn't been signed yet, and there still is an open roster spot and all. But the last team that I remember from vivid memory, at least, and all, to come back and have most of their team back after a championship win is the 2017 Warriors, who I have compared this team to a lot, honestly, to as well, just because of their offensive efficiency and the way and how easily they can score when they're moving the ball right and all too as well. But I think they're just Boston, even though this is a Boston Celtics podcast. I think the ultimate winners, honestly, of bringing back their whole team. We look at after the 2017 and 2018 Warriors, and that team actually came back in 2019. You can obviously argue that if Kevin Durant was healthy, they would have won. They would have went back to back to back and all. But you look at the 2019 Toronto Raptors, Kawhi didn't come back to that team. When the 20 Lakers went in the bubble, the Dwight Howards, the KCPs, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who actually is a big part of the winner bracket here too as well, but they lost players like that, and Alex Caruso, Rajon Rondo, even JaVale McGee. They didn't bring that team back. The 21 Bucks, when they won, PJ Tucker didn't come back. He went to Miami in 22. When the Warriors won in 22, Otto Porter, who you wouldn't think was a big piece to that championship win, I think it was, especially when they benched Draymond Green or just played them less and put Otto Porter more for a small ball lineup. Honestly, he was a big part for them winning that finals over my Boston Celtics, honestly. And he didn't come back. He got a contract from Toronto the next season and all. And in 23, with the Denver Nuggets winning the championship, again, a utility guy, a role guy, but Bruce Brown was huge in their finals round win. Mind you, their whole postseason run, honestly. And he got a big contract from Indiana and ended up being traded, ironically, to Toronto too as well. But now you're looking at the 24 Boston Celtics, them having their dominant season that I explained in the previous recording. Probably the last recording. Yeah, definitely the last recording, honestly. We talked about the numbers on the green list and all. They're coming back with their full team. At least their top 10 of guys that played minutes are back, or top 9, let me say top 9 are going to be back. And up in the air with Brissett, I haven't heard any rumors of him going anywhere else. He subsided playing for the Olympic team to focus on his free agency this offseason, or this summer at least, enough for the offseason. So it's interesting, let me say, to see where he's going. Like I said, I haven't heard any rumors of him going to another team right now. And the rumors are out there that he's looking for more playing time, which is obviously, that makes sense, honestly, too, as well, because even like I say, he's a pretty damn good player, in my opinion, honestly. A great rebounder overall, great with the offensive rebounds, if I had to pick a side, which he's better at, just because it feels like higher impact when the guy gets offensive rebounds, i.e. Isaiah Hartenstein getting the big contract to a winner I'll have. After talking about the Boston Celtics, I can't help myself and all too as well, because they all ultimate winners. Like I said before, a champion bringing back their team. I'm just not sure if it's top 8. The top 8 for sure they've brought back to their team that's played the most minutes. The top 9 I'm not sure of, because I know Brissett played some minutes. I know Tillman came in and played some minutes, but he's back too as well and all. So they basically got their top 9 that they've basically won the champ. Basically, the guys that played in the postseason for this run are going to be back on the team and all, just minus Brissett so far with their open roster spot. But I think just because of that, the last team to go back-to-back kept their roster, basically maintained their roster moving forward, and offered for the Warriors to go back-to-back and to be in a back-to-back-to-back finals appearance situation too as well. I think the Boston Celtics, by far, even though it's a pro Boston Celtics podcast, can't help to say that they're ultimate winners to bring their team back and all. When you look at the previous 6 champions, the best, and they've never brought their team back. There's a thing of the parity thing, but the parity thing is real when these players can't stay on their teams because they're getting better contracts or at least more money from other teams at least and all. But so there's some parity. I'll give the parity point there at least and all. But again, to the parity, these teams could stay together. Maybe they could have gone back to back, or at least gone to back finals, at least and all in the season. Bringing back essentially their top 9, top 8, with Cornette, Hauser, or top 9. There we go. Because every time when I think of Horford, he's a starter. You know what I mean? Also, that's why I keep forgetting. He's in the bench and all. So that's that top 6. So obviously Porzingis, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, and Derek White, and then Hauser and Pritchard come off the bench, and also that makes them 8. I sleep on Cornette, so that's the top 9, honestly. To me, Brissett makes it the top 10, but Tillman got most of the minutes and all too as well in the postseason, so you can honestly argue that he's part of the top 10 of the Boston Celtics, and they're bringing that whole top 10 back and all. Brissett got some few minutes, and again, there's their open roster spot, and we'll see if he comes back too as well and all. But they brought back even Neemias Queta is coming back. What's another one? Drew Peterson's another player. Didn't get much minutes, but is coming back too as well. You got Jordan Walsh, a rookie last year, going to be coming back too as well on the team. And they drafted Baylor Shireman out of Creighton, who I really like, really like, honestly, too as well. And mind you, I get the shooting part. That's honestly anything to love about a basketball player at this point if they can shoot some threes at an efficient rate. But it's the offensive rebounds that he can offer essentially at the guard wing position that I'm thoroughly excited about, honestly. And they even drafted Anton Watson at the 54 pick too as well, which is an interesting pickup. It's a 54th second round pick, mind you. Another team at 55 we're making a big deal about for a second round draft pick, but at least for a 54 draft pick, we'll see what happens at least too as well. So again, that's why I have the Boston Celtics as the ultimate winners of free agency and all. But since they're in an island of their own, let's come to the NBA and where everyone else is and all. I'll put two teams that probably gap themselves from the rest of the NBA, and one of those teams is OKC. There's no reason that you can't have them as a winner in the NBA free agency so far, and even in the draft, honestly, of drafting Nikola Topic, who ended up tearing his ACL, so that's why he was a top 5 look in the NBA draft, and ended up going, I think, 12 or 13 to OKC at least. And also in the draft, they even supplied themselves pretty damn well with a team who was full of young talent. They just signed 2 of them, in Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins, honestly. But the first trade of the offseason, essentially, as soon as the Celtics won the championship, a day or two later, OKC trades for Alex Caruso without giving up a pick, just essentially giving up Josh Giddey, who ended up getting himself played out of the starting lineup in the playoffs in the second round against Dallas, honestly. So the fact that you're able to pick up a guy like Alex Caruso, who I mentioned won a championship with the Lakers, is a pretty damn good pickup for a team that youth really hurt them. You can tell that youth really hurt them in the second round against Dallas, because they had the team similar to Boston that they wanted, where Boston won in 5. OKC had a similar team to Boston. I just think their youth and lack of playoff experience honestly kind of hurt them, honestly. Making a pickup like that with Alex Caruso was huge, and then with all that cap space, they ended up peeling away a great playoff contributor for the New York Knicks and Isaiah Hartenstein. Gave him, I'm not sure if they gave him 100, but they gave him a pretty damn sizable contract. I think it was pretty close to 100, if not 100 and all. But they ended up signing him, and now they're fixing up their size problem, where Chet Holmgren, again, young guy, still a frail body in today's NBA at least and all, able to do a whole bunch of things, rim block and shoot, and even bring up the ball, run the offense for them at times when it's necessary at least and all too as well. But they didn't have any extra size, either to support him or to even come off the bench for him. With Isaiah Hartenstein, you have an option now to have him at the 4, where you can have him as a backup too as well, and have a little bit more support for Chet. So and the way OKC finished the season, they were a 1 seed. I think they ended up being tied with either tied or up 1 game over Denver and Minnesota at least not, but a 1 seed coming off a 55+1 season, adding 2 players like that, known guys that can contribute contribute on a playoff team with high impact. With Caruso winning the championship with the Lakers back in the bubble, and in this past postseason, that with the injuries that the New York Knicks sustained with Randall and Mitchell Robinson, the big for Isaiah Hartenstein to come in and be a huge part of them winning that series against Philly and making that a series against Indiana before, just injuries, Brunson being out basically of the Knicks' downfall, at least in these past playoffs, in the 24 playoffs. If I said 23, my bad. In the past playoffs, 24 at least, what Isaiah Hartenstein did for them and all. So that's a huge pickup for them. Got to put them in the winner's circle right there with Boston and all. Another team, I got to put right there in the winner's circle where OKC has, I think, gapped from the rest of the league. They have closer to Boston at least and all. Is Minnesota. Even though these are rookies, I just think these are huge rookies from a team that's relying on young players to lead them to the promised land and all. When you got a young Jaden McDaniels, you got a young Alexander Walker, obviously a young Ant Edwards. Even though Towns is seasoned, he's still a young guy. He's under 30 at least and all too as well. To add Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr. able to get, I knew he got into some trouble in college. He's able to bypass that. So now he's coming into the league with a clean slate, hopefully, and all too as well. But you're adding two guys that can dribble penetrate, score off the dribble, like let's say jump shots off the dribble. Obviously they can score. If they can dribble penetrate, they can hit some layups. But they can let's say they have that Kyrie Irving game, they got that Lou Williams game, they got that Jamal Crawford game, they got their pull up shot off the dribble is pretty seasoned for 19. I think both guys are 19 if not 20 years old, maybe even 18 honestly. Just being I know Dunningham was 1 year in college at Kentucky. I'll look up where Terrence, since I like Terrence's game. I'll see where he went to school. I'm not 100% sure where he went to school. He went to... Not giving it to me. Did he go to the G League or something? It's not coming off the bat. So Texas Tech. All right, that's what it looks like. Texas Tech. Let me just confirm. Texas Tech. Okay, he seems to be a little old. Okay. That's actually a good. Okay. I'm even liking Terrence Shannon even more. I didn't even look these things up and all. Because Terrence, where I said that they were 19 and 20, it looks like Dillingham is going to be the 18. Now let me look up Dillingham. I really like these moves for Minnesota, and I'll talk about why. I didn't think. I had no idea that Terrence Shannon was this old. It changes my analysis just a bit. So give me a moment. Let me look for this real quick. Dillingham. Yeah, Dillingham is 19 years old. Okay, yeah, he's going to turn 20 in January. And Terrence Shannon is 23. He went to two schools. He went to Tech for it looks like 3 years, if not like maybe 2 seasons, and went to Illinois for another 2 seasons and all. I know he got into some trouble and all too as well in college. I'm just looking at the wiki. It's not showing it up. Not like serious trouble. Let's see. Yeah. This is coming off of Wiki. I'm going to read it verbatim. Shannon played 11 games for the Illini, being suspended for 6. Shannon was considered the front runner for the National Player of the Year before his suspension. After preliminary injunction was granted, suspension would end and he was playing the rest of the season. I'm not seeing why he was suspended. I just know he was dealing with some ish. Well, it doesn't matter now. He's in the league. I drafted by the Minnesota Timberwolves, so I'm not going to make the biggest deal and all. But going back into the Minnesota Timberwolves and why I think their win is by drafting Terrence Shannon and Rob Dillingham. They lacked playmaking in the Western Conference Finals against the Dallas Mavericks. It was just Ian Edwards at the top of the key making things happen. While Mike Conley can do his thing, I think his age and then the youth that they're facing against Dallas kind of hurt. Now you're adding youth with two guys that can dribble penetrate, that have dope pull-up shots. They can shoot. I know Dillingham can shoot from 30. I'm not sure about Terrence Shannon, but I know he's just a dope. From what I've seen and what I've heard, at least in all the analysis that I've read and peeped, at least in all, this man is a bucket getter, at least in all. I think those are two things that they were missing. I think we'll see, because they're young, how well they can do when they're facing a double team or the defense is up on them, because they're going to be young guys and they're going to have lack of size, at least and all. Can they dribble out? Not dribble out. Can they pass out of it? Can they suck the defense in and pass out of it? How dope is their playmaking at this stage going into year one and all? It's from a team that's relying on Ant Edwards, a 22-year-old, to run their team, and he was a 1-year guy, and look how far he's been in 3 years. I really like that they've added Dillingham and Shannon, and these guys don't have high impact roles like in Anthony Edwards and all. They'll be playing off of him. They'll be learning from Mike Conley too as well, who's been very instrumental from the growth of this team from last year, who got swept. Jaden McDaniels punching a wall, Rudy Gobert and Kyle Anderson getting into a spat on the bench and all too as well. I feel like his professionalism and experience has been huge for their growth and their maturity, at least and all. To have that guy now too with 2 players, and you look at Shannon's past, at least and all, could be a good mentor for him going forward in his first at least rookie contract in the league, at least and all. He's playing with Mike Conley, at least and all. No better professional who struggled when he came out of school, who was a high lottery pick too as well and all, and was able to get through that, become an all-star, become this guy, professional guy. There's an award. I can't remember the name of the award at least, no, but some team award, community award. Mike Conley, if not winning, is always in the top. Is always in the top consideration of that award too, as well. Just a testament to his professional at least and all. I just love these pickups but I just love these two pickups by Minnesota. They did lose Kyle Anderson and all too as well, but I just think they're deep wing wise I think they can subside that. You still got Alexander Walker, you still got Jaden McDaniels, you still got Ant Edwards on the wing guarding most of the time honestly too as well, and Naz Reid who can move his feet from the 5 position to the 2 and 3 position to guard some guys in the league too as well. To add these dynamic guys who are basically going to be off your bench, if one of them are able to sprinkle out and show some more, they'll start over Mike Conley. Now you have Mike Conley coming off the bench at a 20 minute percentage at least. No, I can't figure out the right word at least, but at least he's coming in from 50 to 20 minutes instead of relying on him on 30 to 35 minutes, and you probably get better play. Similarly, how the Boston Celtics got better play out of Al Horford when he only played 25 to 30 minutes than playing 30 to 35 minutes and all too as well from a guy who's from an older player at least, who's 38 years old. I believe Mike Conley's in the same range at least, and also with those two pickups, guys that that can score the basketball and all. It doesn't take much to learn how to score the basketball, especially when these guys have that twitchy game too as well and all. I really like those two pickups and all too as well for Minnesota to add to their backcourt and to really push forward what they got going on. And see, when you got a youth movement going, might as well add more youth and all. You got the veteran that you need in Mike Conley, honestly. Just add that youth exuberance, honestly. And I really think they did that. So that's why with OKC and Minnesota with their moves, I think they've gapped themselves from the league and gone a couple steps closer to where Boston is right now. Just on play, on the way they played last year and adding to it at least and all. I just think they've gotten a little bit closer to Boston at least and all. For some other winners that we'll talk about now, New Orleans I think is a big winner. They had a point guard issue. You fixed it with DeJounte Murray, who's a two-way basketball player and all too as well. I think he can play with others too as well. I think it's more of a Trae Young thing. I'm not trying to dog Trae Young at least and all too as well. I hope he does get out of Atlanta too as well. They're going to be in this conversation, but then another side, unfortunately, too, as well. So we get deeper about that part. But for New Orleans, at least and all, they've been missing the point guard. Honestly, I can understand why they weren't looking for a point guard, why they moved on from Drew Holiday. They wanted to give Zion more of the ball handling responsibilities and all, just to up his game, in my opinion. I don't think it's anything against Zion has failed or anything like that. But now you see that they need a point guard in between all they have. CJ McCollum was an opportunity, I think, for them to do that, and that failed at least and all. I think he's worked in other situations, but being a guy, really being the point guard, he's not that type of guy. Getting the ball off to CJ McCollum to the wing when your point guard's bringing up the ball, I think is a better position for him than him bringing up the ball, having the ball at the top of the key, and either trying to figure out to be aggressive or trying to be passive and get his other teammates going and all. So I thought DeJounte Murray was huge for the Pelicans. The center position is a little iffy now with losing JV to Washington, and I'm not sure what they're going to have there. I saw Daniel Tice got signed. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a backup maybe, but we'll see what they do there and all. But they got that wing defense thing going with Herb Jones, Trey Murphy. If they keep BI, they got BI there, and obviously Zion Williamson also. I just like that wing thing they got going over there. And DeJounte Murray to their guards and all. When they got some pretty, CJ McCollum may have his deficiencies, but he's still a pretty damn good guard. And you got Jose Alvarado, who had a big game for Puerto Rico on this past day, I should say. I'm recording on Tuesday, July 9th. I think Puerto Rico played on Sunday, and they qualified for the Paris Olympics in a couple weeks, and also I think that was a huge move for New Orleans to add to that guard play. Again, it'll be interesting what to do at the 5 position. There's a lot of guys on the minimum that are out there. Paul Reed just got waived too as well from Philadelphia and all. So there are some interesting names that they can do. Like I said, they added Daniel Tice the other day, if not yesterday. I think yesterday. To a 1-year contract, and also we'll see if they make another move for a center, but that'll be their only concern. That's why I can't say they got closer to Boston, and that's why I have to say Minnesota and again OKC are in another gap of their own because they don't have any holes right now. I think the teams that are still winners, in my opinion, just have holes. They have holes that that you can worry about at least and all. That's why to my next team, it's going to be the same type of thing for the New York Knicks. Honestly, they our winners, to pick up Mikal Bridges to add to the Villanova Knicks, or what do you want to call them, the New York Wildcats, whatever you want to call them, at least not at this point. But to add to that camaraderie and chemistry that Jalen Brunson, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart got going, to add Mikal Bridges, who's a better player than those two, not better than Jalen Brunson, but better player than the former and Hart and DiVincenzo, at least and all. I think that's a huge pickup for them to add Mikal Bridges, a guy who can. You worry about Tom Thibodeau overplaying their players too. Mikal Bridges is a guy who I don't think has missed a game in his career, at least and all. He's going, if he has any type of nagging injuries, he's shown the ability to play through it too as well. So I really like that pickup for them. They re-signed Anunoby too as well. He's the opposite of worrying about injuries and playing through them and all. But I think we saw this year his addition was huge for their run throughout the season, honestly, throughout the second half of the season for sure when they picked him up and all. And I think that's a dope addition to have Anunoby, Bridges, either Hart or DiVincenzo, and Jalen Brunson as your starters from the 4 position to the 1 position. They're 5, or even they're 3 to the 1, because now you have Julius Randle back and Mitchell Robinson. But those are my concerns moving forward for the Knicks. Is can Julius? It's not the injury concern for Julius Randle, even though he's missed, even though injuries have plagued him over the past couple postseasons. His play in the postseason is what I'm kind of concerned about, honestly. Can he? I don't know. He's had his Karl Anthony Towns, Ben Simmons moments in the playoffs and all, from a guy who's a borderline, but he is an all-star caliber player. Honestly, doesn't show that as you would like in the playoffs, honestly, comparatively when people want to say Jason Tatum's shooting numbers are proof that he can't show up in the playoffs and all, but that's such a different conversation that I will not dive into. Just wanted to give a nugget to that for further conversations and all. But Julius Randle, I think, is a true concern in the playoffs, similarly to Karl Anthony Towns and all. So I'm worried about that. Mitchell Robinson is more just about an injury thing. If he's there, it's a dope 5 to have for them. A big guy, rim protect, rebound, do all the little things, honestly, that the 5 that you need a 5 to do, even guard. From 5 to 1, he's not bad. He's not great, but he's not bad either. He's one of the best out of the 5 center positions in the league, at least, and also if he can stay, his health is one thing that you're worried about, at least, and too as well. But I still have to put the Knicks as a winner for picking up Mikal Bridges. I get giving up all the draft picks, but at the same time, if this works out, you have a team that lasts for the next 3 to 5 seasons, in my opinion, with Bridges, Hart, DiVincenzo, and Brunson, I believe, are all in the 30 years old. They should be able to last. Brunson for sure looks like a lifetime Knick, if not a substantial part of his career is with the Knicks, at least, and all. And to have his Villanova guys with him and all too as well. You would think if this works out, they would be together for the next 3 to 5 seasons and all. And that's when you won't be drafting in the top 20, and that's why I can understand that your picks are not as valuable. I can understand why the Knicks picks don't seem as valuable moving forward. If you see these 4 players now from Villanova and all, you just gave Anunoby's new money too as well, that they don't stick together over the next 3 to 5 seasons and all. But let's go before I go to the surprising winners, because they're not going to be winners throughout the season and all. Let me stick to the teams that have a chance to be at least championship contenders, if not serious playoff contenders, at least and all. And the next team is obviously Orlando, picking up KCP, adding another guard that can at least move the ball for them. He's not a true pure point guard, but with his championship pedigree, he should be able to shift the offense a bit, should be able to have some type of playmaking, passing wise, a little bit more. I'm not saying he's going to average like 8 assists and all, because he's coming off a championship team and now he's going to have more of a role with Orlando and all. But it's just another guard from a team that doesn't have great guard play, at least in the passing sense. It should be a plus to add KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to their team and all, with a Jalen Suggs, a young Anthony Black on their team and all. Could make things interesting for how Orlando played throughout the season, giving Cleveland the series, even though it looked like they didn't know what the hell they were doing. I can look at a guy like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a guy who's going to play through injuries and all too as well, play a good significant amount of games, honestly. I'm pretty sure he was going through something in their playoff run for Denver in the past postseason, honestly. I'm pretty sure of it. Just maybe it was an ankle too as well. Not sure what the injury was and all, or what he was dealing with and all. But I thought that was a huge boost for Orlando. You add another guard and all. With KCP and Jalen Suggs, you have some type of version of Drew Holiday and Derek White. I can't ignore that, honestly. The biggest thing, honestly, for them now is I think it's just about Paulo Banchero and his playmaking. I do expect it to tick up a little bit. if we're giving Anthony Edwards the love and the youth exuberance, I think Paolo Banchero gives you the same thing. Not the athletic part of it, not the dunking over John Collins and baptizing him, nothing like that. But he gives you that same aggressiveness and with the mentality, cockiness too as well. Honestly, that makes you think that he's that type of ball player that you can compare to Kobe Bryant or Dwayne Wade or something like that. At his size, he's pretty damn good too as well. Honestly, with Paolo, it's just I'm curious to see, does he add more playmaking to his game? Honestly, at the fourth position, because if he's able to, there's going to be a lot more that Orlando can throw offensively that they were unable to throw last year, and all defensively they just added to it with KCP. Honestly, KCP will help offensively, but limitedly. Can Paolo really step up playmaking wise? And it could look like KCP playing off of Jokic, honestly, if Paolo can step up to that way, playmaking wise. So I really like what Orlando did. And now a late winner that I didn't have before, when I first started this script, at least and all. But this team made a dope signing. Honestly, he was even a player to watch. A little thing that I'll have at the end of this winner loser segment, at least and all. I think Sacramento is a late winner for me, honestly, in picking up DeMar DeRozan from the Chicago Bulls. Honestly, I just think it's more of an indictment of Harrison Barnes and the lack of shot making he was making for a team that was pretty damn good offensively. Honestly, the fact that you're adding a clutch shot maker in DeMar DeRozan, honestly, I just think it's a huge addition to a team that has De'Aaron Fox, a dope ass clutch shot maker who won the first clutch award that the NBA was offering last year and all, and Malik Monk, who did some amazing things in the postseason against the Warriors last year too as well, where Draymond Green thought it was a fluke, and he kind of had a big game again, honestly, against them, and he got a big contract from them too as well. And it's unfortunate that he got hurt. That it would have been interesting to see how the Kings would have fared in the play-in, and then if they were able to get past the play-in in the playoff situation. Way we look at just the way Dallas was able to make their run, and they had a dope offensive backcourt, even though I'm not going to say the greatest offensive backcourt of all time, but a pretty damn good offensive backcourt, and it took them to the playoffs. I get that Dallas had a damn good, better defense and all, but I would have liked to seen the Kings in the playoffs at least and all, and seeing how they fared out at least and all. Like if it was the Kings against the Thunder in the first round, besides the Pelicans, because the Pelicans disappointed me and all, and I get injuries really kind of derailed them anyway. If it was the Kings in that scenario, and the way the Thunder just looked against the Mavericks, I think the Kings would have gave them a series, and I'm just curious how Malik Monk could have doubled up what he did in the postseason last year. I'm high of him. He's done. Whoa, I hit my mic. He's done what he's done with those games before, but not in the postseason setting. Last year was the first time in 2023 against the Warriors. I just would have liked to seen that again, honestly, because I feel confident about them adding a clutch maker now in DeMar DeRozan. But I think it would have been good for a narrative sense at least and all, to see that Malik Monk is dope in the playoffs, a clutch performer in the playoffs. De'Aaron Fox is a clutch performer. I don't think there's any questions there, honestly. And now you add DeMar DeRozan, who's just giving you clutch moments. It's just unfortunate he wasn't on the Toronto team that won the championship, but he's giving you plenty of clutch moments throughout the season. You can argue the first half of the 2022 season when Lonzo Ball was healthy, that DeRozan and the Bulls were a top seeded team. I thought they were one. DeMar DeRozan was the MVP of the league, similarly to how Amari Stoudemire came into 2010 and was owning the league with the New York Knicks and all. And you can argue at least the first 30 games, the first quarter of the season, that he was the MVP of the season at least, and MVP of the league at least on the first quarter of the season. So just so what was I going to? But yeah, this is about Sacramento at least and all. Yeah, and about to pick about DeMar DeRozan, and again that first quarter of the season in 2022 and all. This is like 2 years ago that he was playing at an MVP level in my opinion at that time. To bring a clutch performer like that and replace him with Harrison Barnes, who just missed some big shots honestly, and especially in that first round against the Warriors in Game 6 had a wide open shot. If that's DeMar DeRozan, I'm very comfortable thinking he's hitting that shot, honestly, because he's just made some clutch plays before. So adding that to that offensive team that had a weak link at the small forward position, now you're adding DeMar DeRozan, a borderline Hall of Famer, honestly, depending the success he has with the Kings. It could put him in the Hall of Fame, honestly. I just think it's a great addition for them, honestly. So those are the playoff teams that I put in the winner bracket, at least and all. Again, Sacramento, Orlando, New Orleans, and New York put themselves in the bracket where they can think that they can win a Larry O with their moves at least and all. Doesn't mean any of these other teams can't. This is about NBA free agency and moves in the draft at least and all. I haven't gotten to moves in the draft. More about NBA free agency. I did like what Minnesota did in the draft at least and all. I wasn't a big fan of this draft anyway, so I don't have any huge winners here in this draft, honestly. I'll give the Spurs. Oh yeah, these. Okay, I guess I'll be getting into the draft with these lesser teams at least, who won't be like in the championship scenario. So let me reel it back. Again with Sacramento, Orlando, New York, and New Orleans, I think they put themselves in a conversation where the Larry O is real at least and all. I think it just depends how their teams shake out, but I do like their moves and all throughout free agency and with Minnesota through the draft at least and all to be in the conversation at least and all. OKC and Minnesota, those are bigger winners for me. I think they've gapped themselves from the NBA and gotten themselves closer to where Boston is right now. I think there's no holes on their teams. It's going to be if they really have clean years, ultimately injury-wise, here and there you're going to have an injury here or there, but if they're able to shake out things fine, not having any type of serious injury and all, I think these are teams that are serious championship contenders, especially with the moves they made too as well and all. And obviously the ultimate winners, as I started this recording, is the Boston Celtics bringing their whole team back, a championship team. The first championship team in my opinion to bring their whole team back was the 2017 Warriors, and they went back to back, went to back finals, and I think the Boston Celtics put themselves in a position to go to back finals, and that to me makes them the ultimate winner of free agency so far and all. But for teams that are not going to be in playoff contention, maybe one of these teams will be in playing contention and all, but I still think they're winners. For the moves that they made and all. One of them is Brooklyn. I think it's just two of them. Okay, there'll be just two of them at least. And I thought it was going to be a whole bunch. No, just two. But Brooklyn is one of them, though. I do like that they're looking to sell, get into the 25 draft and all. Don't be ignorant thinking you're going to come out this season with Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson and Cam Thomas, all players I like, but you're going to sit there and win basketball games and be in the play-in. You weren't sniffing the play-in last year at all. So I'm very happy that the Brooklyn Nets sold out. I hope they sell out more. Cam Johnson gets moves eventually. Ben Simmons has no value, unfortunately, so you can't move him. So I understand that at least and all. I would keep Cam Thomas because he would fit for the next player you bring it. I hope a dope lottery pick that they make in the 2025 draft. Big fan of Cooper Flagg right here. So hopefully they get lucky and have the number 1, maybe number 2 pick because they can get Cooper Flagg at least and all. But he would fit with a guy like Cam Thomas, a young, youthful guy. I'm pretty sure. I know he had some time at LSU and all, so I'm pretty sure he's 25, maybe 26 at least, or maybe even 24 and all. But I know he's more seasoned than general rookies or young guys at least and all. So, but having him next year lottery pick in the 25 draft, honestly, I think is huge. Even maybe an Ace Bailey or a Dylan Harper, honestly, if they come out early and all too as well, that'd be a dope backcourt to have with Cam Thomas and all. So if they're able to unload, I like how they unloaded Mikal Bridges for the 5 picks, like I mentioned earlier in the Knick trade and all. If they're able to unload Cam Johnson, get some more assets and all, not tank this season, but not be good and all, and be in position, be good enough to have some culture at least and all, but to at least not be good enough and be in the position to have a top lottery pick and all. And from where I'm not a big fan of this 24 draft. I'm a big fan of the 25 draft and all. And I think it's big that Brooklyn put themselves in that position, make up the runs that they've made and all from giving up the picks to make trades and all, which you understand. James Harden trade, get the Pierce and Garnett trade. You get the team that just moved from Jersey to Brooklyn. You get they want to make some noise and all. They had Joey Johnson, they had Darren Williams and all. You understand the move like that, but to make the wrongs up finally and have some picks over the next 5 to 7 seasons and all, I think is a move that they needed to consider, and they considered it. I think they're doing that too as well moving forward. I even think they made a trade with Houston to get a pick back. Not entirely certain, and if that's true, that's important. I think they need the value picks, and I think that's why I have Brooklyn as a big winner. In the opposite sense, they're not going to the playoffs, not winning no Larry O trophy next season and all. I don't think so. That'd be crazy if that happened and all, but you're setting yourself up forward for the next 5 years and all in a draft next year where I think even though this draft to me wasn't great, I think there's a whole bunch of role players that ended up in great places, honestly. But and I'll talk about the draft and I'll throw out some teams where I thought they were winners and all. But by the time I'm done with the winners at least and all, for the free agency at least and all. But I really want to mention a team like Brooklyn. I think they're a winner, honestly, by selling out. revamping your draft stock at least and all, and moving forward, and not worrying about making noise anymore with the Kevin Durant iteration and what I mentioned with the Joe Johnson and Kevin Garnett and the Paul Pierce iteration. Build your team out from in out, and I think it will. Oh, I think it will hit big if you put yourselves in the position to gain the lottery next year and pick up players like either Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be plenty of other players that are going to show up in this draft, honestly. The fact that I'm talking about players that are coming in as freshmen, or they're going to come in as freshmen, and they're going to make noise, you got to think they're going to be some sophomores and juniors and seniors that are going to show out too as well to prove that they're on that level too as well and all. So I just think college basketball is going to be great this year, and all. I'm very looking forward to it and all. So I just think Brooklyn putting themselves in that mix, I think is a plus for them. San Antonio Spurs are going to be another winner for me. Now again, this is not going to be, they're not a championship level team, a playoff level team either, but they're not a bad team either in my opinion. I think the way Houston was a little surprising last year, I would call the Spurs being that early team to surprise you a little bit. Adding Chris Paul, wily veteran, I like the pick of Stephon Castle. I'm liking him more and more and more. Mind you, he mentioned Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in an interview, and also that just makes me pick him up a little bit more with a fandom at least and all. But gotta give him credit for that. Harrison Barnes, even though he's not, again, I knocked him in Sacramento for shot making, he did help with the maturity, and similarly I mentioned how Mike Conley helped the maturity of the T-Wolves. He helped the maturity of the Kings of being a peasant franchise, honestly, and now all of a sudden they're a playoff contender at least and all, if not for last season, a playing contender at least and all, but they were a 4 seed 2 seasons ago, so that's why, or a season ago at least and all, in 23, so that's why I want to give him that playoff contention type of love at least and all. But he helped for that growth at least and all. I would think a young team like the Spurs, a guy like Victor Wembanyama who's soaking in everything, I think the new face of the league, I don't know how you can ignore that, honestly. The man was exhilarating to watch, and he was only playing 25 minutes a game essentially. He's definitely going to be playing a little bit more now. I just think the Spurs are a cool team to watch, honestly, with the pickups that they made with Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul, honestly. I'm not going to say they're going to run through the West and sit there as a top 4 seed. If Victor's that real, who knows? That's why I'll really give that caveat to that. But I think they're in a position to contend in the play-in, honestly, and make some noise that you wouldn't have expected from the Spurs, even with these moves, because they made some names. Maybe you still don't expect much, but I always like the Spurs, even having a top 4 seed one season where my buddies in the chat made fun of me and all, and they were right to make fun of me and all. But I was a fan of DeJounte Murray, Derek White, champion with the Boston Celtics now, Lonnie Walker, who had a 40-point game for the Lakers in the playoffs in 23 and all. I like that team. I like the makeup of that team. That had DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge still too on that team. Always like the makeup of the Spurs. Popovich is a 5-time champion, so there's no reason to ever doubt him in my opinion. I get that he's older, so we'll see at least and all, to another buddy's point, at least another he mentions, but I do like what the Spurs did from a team that did nothing for Victor and all. I think they did at least something for him, and he showed a lot last year in his short time on the court, honestly. So those are the winners for me in free agency right now. To go deeper into the draft and have some winners there, honestly, I'll bring up the draft order at least. Obviously, from what I mentioned with the T-Wolves and taking Shannon 28, I think it was, and then, since I have the list now, I can just do that. 27, they took Terrence Shannon, and at number 8, they traded for Dillingham from the Spurs, at least and all. So they're ultimately my big winners in the draft, honestly. 2 impact players. I think 2 guys that are ready to score in any time on your local street basketball court or local gym, at least and all, or your pro league and all. I think 2 guys that you can never worry about getting some buckets, or at least getting to the paint or putting up some shots and all, and their chances of making it is pretty, in my opinion, 40% or higher, honestly. So I really like those pickups for Minnesota. So I think they're ultimate winners. For the Spurs, again, I mentioned Stephon Castle. I think that's a big pickup. I think that's a nice pickup, honestly, from a draft I'm not really high on. I think the Spurs won with that pickup too as well. The Kings picking up Devin Carter was a good pickup. I'm not going to front on that. If they can move Davion Mitchell and add another piece, honestly, so I think Devin Carter can easily run that role Davion Mitchell's been running, just with his offensive skills that he proved in Providence, and I'm hip to now, and I didn't even know he was Anthony Carter's son too as well and all. So I think that's a dope pickup. The Lakers picking up Dalton Connect. They didn't know much about Dalton Connect. They didn't know he went to junior college and all. That was his first only 1 year in Tennessee and all. He basically dominated, being the best player in the conference and all. And apparently he was a top 10 pick. Ended up going 17 to the Lakers. So I have to give the Lakers credit. That was a dope pickup that they've made too as well. Honestly, seems like a guy that can come in to this season and have some type of impact. What type of impact, we'll see, and all too as well. If we're gonna talk about the draft too as well, and everyone was talking about Bronny James being drafted 55 to the Lakers. Not a hater of it. Come on now, his father's in the league, and he's a basketball player at least, and also there's no shocking thing why he got drafted and all too as well. I don't have that type of extra animosity towards it and all, because it is borderline to say that he's not a draft pick worthy player just based off the numbers at USC and all. But I think he's a legit prospect from what he did at Sierra Canyon, dealing with the cardiac arresting and still coming back and playing basketball. I think that's a credit that Bronny James is not getting credit for, and I wanted to give him that shout out for, because that takes a level of strength, honestly, to come back from a cardiac arrest situation and just play basketball in a day-to-day situation. You still, even though you're playing games every other day, if not every other 2 or 3 days, you still got to practice every day. You still got to keep yourself in shape and all. So those are other factors to having a cardiac arrest and still playing basketball. I just think it's underrated from him at least and all. And I think you're seeing that through the combine, through his interviews. There's more there. And I do think it's fair to think that if his father wasn't in the league, he's not getting drafted and all. But I just think it's too cool of a story to really give it any type of knock, at least and all. I think it's a winning situation and all. So I think the Lakers are big winners in the draft, even though they are trying to my favorite team and all. I still can't ignore that they had a good draft, honestly. So even with just similarly with the Dalton Connect one, and just to be a homeristic now, Baylor Shireman, again, I mentioned them earlier too as well, where the Caesar ultimate winners in the free agency. I really like the pickup for him too as well and all. But to me, it was an okay draft. I like the Nikola Topic pickup for the Thunder at 12. It was at 12 and all, towards ACL, but SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is your point guard, so have Nikola Topic stashed away for a minute and have him heal from his ACL and to see where he goes will be interesting. And then the Grizzlies picking up Zach Edey. If there was any place for Zach Edey to go, even though I'm not the biggest fan of him, the Grizzlies is a good spot for him. We're a team, they don't have a 5. They trade Steven Adams away. You would prefer Jared Jackson play less 5 and more 4 at times. To put Zach Edey there for 10 to 15 minutes, just for size purposes, is not a bad thing for him and all. So I'll put them as a winner too as well. I'm not the biggest fan of this draft, so I don't have too much about this year's draft. As you saw with my excitement talking about Brooklyn, the 2025 draft and this upcoming college season has my pure eye, honestly. And I wouldn't be surprised if I did a recording here or there about the upcoming college season, or during the college season at least. But let's get to the funny part. Let's get to the losers and all, to the free agency. This is a short list. I like to talk about winning situations. I'm not the biggest fan talking about losing situations and all. But one team that this is a surprise based off the teams that made some signings, you would think this team is a winner, but I just don't like their roster. It looks like something that Phoenix was throwing up all over the place last season, honestly, just because they have 3 big stars, honestly, and that's Philadelphia with the signing of Paul George. But with them, it's just the roster that they've put behind them right now. They've brought in Caleb Martin. I really don't have time for heat culture dissing right now, so I'll try to limit it. But come on now. Gabe Vincent with the Lakers, we've seen how that's worked out. Max Strus had a big shot against Dallas throughout the in the middle of the regular season, basically hit a 3-quarter shot for a game winner and all. But and I even like the pickup for Cleveland to pick him up because they need some shooting and all, especially from the wing position. But he's not no difference maker and all. Miami's just some weird sauce with certain players and all, and they stepped up big and all. But I just think Caleb Martin is another sign of that. And I think you're a loser anyway, especially a former Miami Heat player, to drop $65 million from your team that gave you all the love, and you took 32 from Philadelphia. That sounds like a losing situation and all. So it's just the roster that they're building around. I think Aaron Gordon, if I didn't mention him, Eric Gordon they picked up and all too as well on that Phoenix team last year. They waived Paul Reed so they can make the signing, I think, of for Paul George and Caleb Martin. Honestly, I'm not feeling it. I like Kelly Oubre and all, so that's like a role player I like. Kyle Lowry's on a guarantee that he's back right now too as well with them, so I wouldn't like that if he left too as well. I don't trust Paul George in the postseason as any type of role, as any type of what's it called at this point of his career. Maybe early Paul George at Indiana, I trust him a little bit more, but I don't trust this Paul George no more. In the postseason, at least, and all too as well. It smells of Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons type of play. Honestly, I don't know how to call it. I don't know. I don't trust what Philly is doing. I'm not a Daryl Morey believist or lobbyist or anything like that. I'm not as far as to say like James Harden calling him a liar or anything like that. But I just think his politics are very questionable. His moves have always been questionable to me, honestly, basketball wise. I think his emotions get into it. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of Daryl Morey, honestly. And with these moves, it's more of a credence for why I'm not the biggest fan of him too as well. So I don't like what Philly's doing this offseason. There's nothing I like about it. If Embiid stays healthy, they're obviously going to be in the conversation. He is a legit basketball player. Tyrese Maxey is dope, but I don't know if they can figure out these players around them. I do like the Jared McClain pickup. I do think he's a nice player, honestly, but I don't know. It's more about the organization from top down is why I don't believe in Philly. And I just think it's a losing situation right now. If Embiid's healthy, I'll easily change my mind and all because he's an MVP caliber player throughout the regular season. But I'm not the biggest fan of their signing right now. Another other loser for the free agency is a team that basically did nothing, and they're supposed to be a playoff contender now, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks. They're a loser because they just don't have anything. They can't do anything. They got no assets to trade when it comes to players and picks and all. Mind you, I don't think they have any type of picks. Mind you, I think they have no second round picks and all, and they have no money and all, so they can't pick up anyone. Their MLE is capped out too as well. It's a mid-level exception where some teams have $13 million. Even if they're over the cap and all, they can spend $13 million on the player and all, and they can't even do that and all too as well. I think their best signing is DeLon Wright. I'll give them credit for signing Taurean Prince and all, but it's not like Taurean Prince has been a high-impact player for a playoff team over the past few seasons and all. It's not even a dig at him and all. It's just more of a dig of the roster and all. He can be a dope cog on your team, but they don't have much cogs, honestly. I'll give Taurean Prince will have a high impact on that team next year. It wouldn't surprise me if he put himself in the Sixth Man of the Year conversation for certain stretches of the season, not the whole season and all. This is just the way his game has been shown out and all. But I just think Milwaukee are big losers from a team you expect playoff, if not championship pedigree and all. I just think they're not offering anything to think that you can go into this season, this 2024-25 season, and have confidence that they're really what's it called there. They really have a chance. They really can make noise to win the Larry O'Brien next season and also. I think they're in the loser scenario, and I do not give losers much time and also to the next team and all. And I'm just disappointed in sell out on Trae Young. I get the value for Trae Young is not big, but I just think Atlanta is losing out, not moving Trae Young. I will hold out for them a bit to trade deadline. Hopefully his value picks up a bit and all. But I'm not the biggest fan of what they did this offseason. I like the DeJounte Murray trade. I don't like what they brought in with it. I hope that gets moved too as well. Your Larry Nance's. I like Larry Nance. I like Larry Nance, but not in the scenario where they're about to lose basketball games. He needs to go somewhere else. Dyson Daniels I like, and that's who you should keep moving forward at least and all. But with the Trae Young lack of move, and I feel like they just should have sold, like being the Washington Wizards scenario, just give up what you need to give up Beal. I think Atlanta should have done that and really gone into this season with a clean slate. And there's a good chance Trae Young is going to be in Atlanta, at least for training camp, at least. No, I just think you need to move on. You failed, not Trae Young. The Atlanta Hawks failed him, in my opinion. They didn't build the right team or even develop him the right way, have him switching. They just didn't do anything, in my opinion. They gave him too much of the reins, honestly, when they need to add more. Just more dynamic around them instead of adding like a Clint Capella so they can just do a lob thing. They lack to put more around them, honestly, and I think they lacked here, not moving him before the training camp started, where they can start a new fresh look to them and really dive in to a draft that I'm really excited about in 2025. You're looking at a team that may borderline into a play-in situation, honestly, and Trae Young may just leave, either trade or just want to ask out, honestly, because they're going to be an okay team and all, and you're missing yourself out in the 25 draft. If they have more picks, I'll say more picks in the draft, they can be in the lottery and still have their pick and be outside the lottery. Maybe I'm misspeaking speaking, but I'm pretty sure they don't. And I just think they miss out getting themselves more picks and diving in more into their draft stock moving forward and all. But for a team that lost it now for another loser, and it's disappointing to put this team here. I don't want to put this team here. I think they're a championship level team and all. But for the Denver Nuggets to lose Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to Orlando Magic, I just think it's too. That's huge. That's way too huge, honestly. You saw how they struggled, or at least where Michael Porter and Aaron Gordon were struggling at the wing position. Bruce Brown could have been a big cog for them, and they lost him to free agency last year and all, and they weren't able to get back to the Western Conference Finals and all. And now you lose KCP, basically a dope. Jamal Murray ain't the best defender at the guard position. To have KCP next to him was a big plus for them, and now you're losing him, and you have to look for Russell Westbrook, from rumors at least and all, or put Christian Brown back in, or Christian Brown into the starting lineup from a guy who didn't really participate or have any type of minutes or even a high impact in the playoffs when they in the first or second round for the Denver Nuggets and all. Now you're going to be relying on him to start next to Jamal Murray right now, who you haven't even extended yet, who's eligible for an extension too as well. I had to take a swig of water. Did not expect to be going 50 minutes right now, so I'm almost there. But I just think Denver's a big loser in this free agency, not re-signing Davis Caldwell-Pope, not extending Jamal Murray right now too as well, and not having any type of replacement for KCP. And mind you, they still haven't replaced Bruce Brown in my opinion from last season and all. So I think they're behind the 8 ball, but still put them in championship contention and all. That's why I hate to put them here. They're still there. You got Jokic, you got Murray. Maybe you figure out something new from what they did previously. But again, that puts you behind the 8 ball, because you should be continuing what you did on the season before and winning a championship. You shouldn't be going back and trying something different and all. So I think they're losers by losing KCP. I'm not going to take them out the championship contention conversation yet. Jokic is the best player in the league. Got a dope sidekick in Jamal Murray. You're in the way we put Milwaukee in that combo. I'll actually put Denver in that combo, because that duo has won a championship. Even though Giannis has won one, Dame hasn't won one, and you can see last year they were still trying to. Their chemistry wasn't at high level yet, and I wouldn't think they're coming into this season with high level chemistry. Maybe throughout the season it comes together, but I know Jamal Murray and Jokic do, and that's why I'll give them the respect of. They're still championship pedigree, even though the team is kind of breaking up their pieces of their championship team that they had last year. Those certain pieces are breaking, and it's interesting if they can get back into that role. But I will give them a sense of optimism and all, because again, if you have that duo, especially in today's league and all, if you have a duo, you have a chance. They have a great duo that's won a championship as recently as last season and all. I still think they're still championship contenders, but I just think they're losers when you lose. When I'm giving the Celtics credit for keeping the pieces of the championship team, this team in two off seasons now after winning a championship have lost pieces to their championship team and all. So those are my losers: Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Atlanta. And, I don't really care about that. Denver, I'm just more disappointed about. They can be easy winners, too, as well, if Murray and Jokic have great years, honestly. So they could be okay. But I just don't like losing KCP, honestly, and not finding a replacement for Bruce Brown from last season. And now you still haven't found a replacement for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and also. But before we go, so I finally got the winners and losers done. If I had any draft losers, Milwaukee is a draft loser for sure. They only had one pick and all too as well. I think for a team that can't add in the free agency, you would think they could add something in the draft. Similarly, how the Timberwolves were able to do that. They may be capped out a bit because they're paying everyone and they gave everyone their money. Or Anthony Edwards is going to be asking for a contract. The guys are paid on that team at least and all. Tim Connelly was very creative to go to the draft and save some money and add talent and all. Milwaukee was in the position should have been in a position to do that, and they're not doing that. I think they're probably the biggest losers in the draft, not to at least make something out of this draft and all too as well. Any losers else in this draft? You could say Denver too as well for the same type of reasons. That's how I think you're a loser in this draft, honestly. Top teams for losers in the lottery at least. It's hard to say. But again, I wasn't a big fan of this draft. I think the talent is okay. I've heard great things about certain players like Devin Carter, And also, that's why this draft in Khalil Ware, even though he went to the Heat culture and all. I've heard good things about players like that, Kashawn George too as well and all. So I can't say those, even though I can't say those teams are losers or anything like that, or players like that are losers, or in that sense at least. So I look at it as a team that should have put themselves in the draft, to at least pick up some players when you're unable to pick up some players in free agency. So that's why I look at Denver and Milwaukee the most there. Again, Miami's in that same position, but they picked up Khalil Ware at what position? 15. So I have to give them credit. They can't add in free agency because of the lack of money available for them. They got to think about the future too as well with Jimmy Butler's extension. But they got themselves close, if not in the basically one pick outside the lottery. I get it because of their record at least and all, but they had their pick. You know what I mean and all, and they'll be able to be at 15 at least and all. Like again with Milwaukee. You know what I mean? They weren't great this year. You draft 23. You couldn't get creative to get yourself up in the draft like Minnesota did too as well. They got to 8. They were able to get creative and figure out something. That's why I knocked those two, and even Denver too as well. Again, you're relying on Christian Brown now to step up. Why not add another young player in the top 20 at least and all? You basically just stayed at 28 and you traded your pick. Unless I'm saying, okay, they got the 22 pick with DeRon Holmes at least and all. But again, the draft, I haven't heard much about a name. I can't get too excited for them the way I heard names. I heard Khalil Ware at Indiana. I'm hearing his name ringing at least and all. I just think Miami's a bigger winner than the Denver Nuggets even drafting at 22 and what the Bucks did at 28 at least and all. They're adding something. So that's why I'm dogging on the Nuggets and the Bucks to a degree about them being draft losers at least and all. It's hard for me to look at players saying that they're losers, or you know what I mean. It's really hard for me to look at that right now too as well, especially from a draft I didn't have high expectation of too as well. So that's where I have losers in the draft at least and all. It's going to be Denver and Milwaukee at least and all. More hate or disdain, I should say, for Milwaukee at least and all. Denver, I have my respect. I kind of understand why they're in the position that they're in. Maybe the Michael Porter contract was bad. We're just going to have to see and all. Because of the Jokic and Murray dynamic duo that they have, I have to be a bit receptive to them at least and all, and give them have to give them their respect. They're champions at least and all. I want my C's to get their respect. I'll give the last champions from the Boston Celtics and the Denver Nuggets some type of respect and all. So, but before I ended, I did want to have a players to watch type of segment or topic, however you want to call it and all. One of them did get picked up in DeMar DeRozan. Sacramento took care of that over the weekend and all. But I think there's 4 other players I think that are interesting that could have some impact if they go to the right team at least and all. For one player, Brandon Ingram, it looks like he's going to stay with New Orleans. It looks like they're trying to figure that out. But if he went to the Kings, where DeMar DeRozan role that he has now, I would have liked that pickup for the Kings and all. I'm not saying another team where Brandon Ingram can go now. The Kings was that team for me and all, but looks like obviously they went to, not even looks like, they went to the DeMar DeRozan route. So it'll be interesting how he where he goes. I think he does stay though. He was looking interesting before DeMar DeRozan. Again, it just was interesting if DeMar DeRozan didn't go to the Kings and all. But at this point now, I think Brandon Ingram stays with the Pelicans and all. So, but it's still a player to watch about his money. If he doesn't get the money that he wants, maybe things break down and then he gets traded, honestly. But I don't think he's a high-level player to watch, but I do think he's a player to watch, honestly. Another one is Cam Johnson, to the point of earlier winners in free agency and the draft with Brooklyn, selling out with Mikal Bridges. I hope they do the same thing for Cam Johnson. And if Cam Johnson on the right team, honestly, in the right role, can have a big impact for a team, in my opinion. He was a finals team, participant with the Phoenix Suns and all in 2021 against the Bucks, and I think he had high impact for them too as well throughout the season and in that playoffs. Maybe not in that finals at least and all, but he can be a cog in a championship team and all, or at least a finals appearance team and all. And I don't think that can be a knock, honestly, making the finals and all. So I think Cam Johnson's an interesting name. Jeremy Grant, high number with the contract at least and all, but similarly to Cam Johnson, I just think if you put him in the right place, he can have a high impact. He hasn't shown it. He's shown more of his numbers on bad teams. I think Detroit and Portland, he's shown more of his numbers. But I just think he's too seasoned enough A guy at the 4 position who can guard from 4 to 1, point guard position, the 2 position, the shooting guard position, and the 3 position with the wing. I think Jeremy Grant can guard all 4, and he can hit the 3 too as well. So he's your classic 3 and D guy in today's NBA and all. I think he can be an interesting pickup if Portland's willing to sell him out for the right, for the right package at least and all. But I think the biggest thing to watch is obviously Lauri Markkanen. Honestly, I think he can give you high impact, give you offense, obviously defend decently at least and all, but he can rebound, and obviously with his size give you some rim protection and all too as well. But I think he's the biggest name out at this point. We all know Utah's selling. We got Danny Ainge there and all, and they've been borderline play-in teams at least and all. So that the best team in the world. There's always been talk about them selling out. Honestly, there's been a lot more noise about Lauri Markkanen than in the past at least and all too as well. This is a player that's got traded from Chicago to Cleveland. Chicago being this drafted team and then having some good time, putting up some good numbers with Cleveland, but eventually getting traded to Utah for Donovan Mitchell and all. So we'll see if Lauri Markkanen gets moved. I think he's the biggest name to watch, biggest player to watch in the NBA at this point and all too as well. So I think that's it. That's all I got. I can't believe I went an hour talking about this and all too as well. I had too many winners to be real, honestly. Should have cut that a little bit down. But NBA basketball, NBA and basketball essentially just gets me, is one of my passions at least, and all talking about and playing at least, and all, even though I'm no professional or anything like that, just still enjoy talking and playing basketball at least, and all at a decent level at least, and also. But I do appreciate everybody listening. Please go follow the page. The website, www.likeeagle.com. At least go visit the page and follow us on Facebook. You'll see the links in the bottom. Facebook, Instagram, and what's the third one there? I can't remember the third one that I got on there right now. YouTube. There it is. Yeah, go follow the Facebook, the YouTube, and the Instagram and all too as well. Looks like I'll be done with NBA talk essentially and all until basically October. I do plan on having guests here. Like, do not worry about it. I keep saying it, but I do enjoy just giving out content, building the podcast out too as well and all. I do enjoy just, as you can see, for an hour talking about sports and all, and I'm thoroughly excited about the C's in the NBA and all, and I've been curious how the NBA was going to shake out in the offseason, and now we're seeing it basically and all. I think there's, again, to reiterate, I think there's only 2 teams that have gone closer to the Celtics in Minnesota and OKC. I do think there is a gap from Boston to the rest of the league and all, but if I had to give some teams credence to get closer, it's and based off the free agency so far, it's definitely OKC and Minnesota, and they're in a different conference and all. So things are looking quite well and all. But if there is a next there will be a next episode and all. It's going to be guests. I do have 2 people in mind to talk about Boston Celtic basketball and to talk about the rest of the league too as well and all. I will not shout out their names and all. I am that type of person. I want to get things done first and then put it out there and all too as well. But I'm very confident these 2 will jump in and all. 2 guys I've met on Spotify Live Green Room back in 2022, if not 2021, with one of them 2021, the other one 2022, but really built up a relationship over the past couple of years and all, talking basketball, talking football, honestly, talking about anything honestly too as well, but mostly basketball and football. Honestly, these guys are 2 big Bills fans, so even though they're Celtics fans, they are Bills fans and all. I'm a Patriot fan at least and all, so we do diverge like that too as well, even though I'm a fan of Josh Allen and all. And yes, trust me, when August comes around, we'll have plenty of NFL talk too as well. This just won't be a pro Celtics and basketball thing. I do enjoy talking NFL football, and if college is right, since I live in Atlanta now, I don't mind college football too as well. No, so we'll definitely get deeper into that. I'm definitely going to have an episode about what we are doing on this podcast, going further since the Boston Celtics season is over. They won their championship. The NBA season is now coming to a close, and we're going to be, the only thing left with basketball is Summer League in Paris, the Paris Olympics at least, and all to fill up July, August, September, and then some parts of October, early parts of October, there'll be no basketball at least, and also we'll be talking NFL. Again, I'll have an episode about that. Now I'm getting too deep, rambling and all, so we'll let this one go. Thank you for listening again. Go visit the website, follow the social medias, and we'll talk soon.